Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about transit Mars conjunct one's natal moon. Now, when we're talking about transits that involve Mars, this could be matters connected with action, motivation, drive, energy, enthusiasm, even exuberance. Uh, and when we're talking about transit Mars conjoining one's natal moon, this could be a lot of action and motivation and drive and energy injected into one's emotional needs. Now, if this is in Gemini as an example, it could be manifold and just having variety, or maybe even doing something, with the hands that require dexterity, like auto or refrigeration, mechanics, communications in general. Um, this is also something too where a lot of action and activity may be involved in the home more so than usual at this time, and being even more enthusiastic about doing things home related, as say as in repair or renovation. If it's in Scorpio, it might be through some transformation, which could be maybe just simply moving to a different place, or it could simply be maybe making a renovation. Sagittarius might be adding like a partition or an extension to the home. This is something too where a lot more energy again could be going into home and family activities in general, and with people that you're close to home with, I should say. Also prominent women in your life. It could even in the mother as well. This is also too about your response. The moon can be connected with our reactions and responses, and the fact that Mars is involved making a conjunction to your natal moon, the responses may be more quicker, more abrupt, more so than usual, and maybe even more outspoken. And even if you have your moon in a very more tactful sign, like, or I should say, tactful sign like Virgo or Libra, you might, when you respond to things, it might come across as a little bit more abrupt and more straightforward than usual, and you may surprise some people. Now, also, the moon is associated with our safety and security as well. So it could be at times, since we're talking about Mars, Mars is about combat, confrontation, fighting. If you're, say, in an unsafe neighborhood, or it's crime-ridden, it might be a time where you might take up maybe a quick, it could be a self-defense course in order for you to feel more safe and secure. Say if you have this in Taurus, it could be something that you do, very, in a very methodical manner, I guess you could say. It can be, something maybe learning through things, getting that information to do this by having it demonstrated visually more so than usual. Although if you're learning self-defense, that's how you're going to learn basically anyway, but it'd be even more emphasized in Taurus. Now, because Taurus energy can be about what we, as far as seeing, learning, if you're learning something, learning that way more through a demonstration that would be more visual. But anyway, another thing too is that the moon is connected with our subconscious and unconscious, and it could be a time where there might be things that might be affecting you. Mars is connected, with fights and our battles, and maybe things that may have made us angry or incensed. And some of these things, they may be tied into your unconscious more so than you realize at this time, and might be affecting you at this present time. So, and another thing too is, and say if it's in Pisces, it could be matters where maybe you were angered over some deception or duplicity or fraud, and it might be tied into how you're acting now, and maybe it's, there might be some subconscious fear of some kind of deception, as an example. Now, another thing too, anatomically speaking, the moon is associated with the stomach, the chest, and the breast area. So it could be a time where, if you have any issues with what I just described, you might be more motivated to take action on these issues more so than usual at this time. If it's something where you procrastinated on, it could be something where you're willing to maybe do something about it this time, especially if there is a very significant health-related issue connected with the stomach, the chest, or the breast. And the moon is also connected with the left or the right eye, depending on gender. So it could be an eye issue in some isolated cases. Now, the moon is also associated with our past and our memories at this time as well. So, some cases you might simply be driven toward, might be connecting maybe with someone from your past that may have been a prominent, female as an example. Maybe could be a family member that maybe you haven't seen in some time. But this is something, I mean, say if it's an Aries as an example, it could be somebody that was maybe in a, an Aries type position, like a firefighter, somebody in welding or arson investigation, or it could be an Aries, in some isolated cases it may actually be an Aries sun, moon, or ascendant person, or simply one that embodies Aries of characteristics. Now, keep in mind that you're talking about, I mean, the moon is also could be connected with the public, so it might be something too where you might be showing more enterprise initiative, might even be more impatient in terms of getting public recognition for something you may have done. Say if this is in Aquarius as an example, it might be something connected with astrology, innovation, astronomy, aerospace, computers, or electronics. And say for another way this transit may manifest, this could also be about having the fortitude in some cases, the courage, which is Mars, in regards to sensitive matters, which could be associated with the moon. Now you wonder, well, what does that actually mean? Well, as an example, it could be about standing up for yourself, more of a proclivity to do that as far as standing up for yourself as, with things that might have, you might have been sensitive to or might have been hurt by. So let's say, for example, if this is in Gemini, it could be matters pertaining to gossiping, slander, it could be mischief, and maybe you're finally calling out, the people that you feel are responsible for this. Now, also too, it could also be about being more aggressive and assertive and speaking out, more outspoken in terms of getting what you need. The moon is connected with our needs, our emotional needs. And say, for example, if this is in Scorpio, it could be something connected with the occult, astrology, insurance, doing something with locksmithing. It might even be something surgical that you needed done, and maybe it's something that you haven't really spoke about really to anybody or hardly anybody. And even Mars also is connected with sex, of course, and the moon is associated, could be associated with people that we're close to home with. So it could be a time where you may be more inclined towards some kind of sexual interlude. It could be with somebody you really feel close to home with at this time. It may be another thing too, is that looking at this as well, if it's in Leo, it might be done with near inexorable energy. But anyway, also keep in mind, again, the moon can be connected with our emotional responses and reactions. And if you have the transit of Mars hitting your moon, well, obviously this could be some kind of, it might be more inclined toward very angry, acrimonious emotional responses, more so than usual. Say if this is in Pisces as an example, it could be ones that are very chaotic as well, or Scorpio, convoluted. Now, in isolated cases, keep in mind Mars can be associated with surgery. So it can be, some cases there may be, this could manifest in surgery, something with the stomach, the chest, the breast area, or again, even the left or the right eye, depending on gender. Now, the moon can also be associated with water retention. Now, I don't know if there's any surgery that is associated with that, but keep in mind the Mars can be associated with physical issues. So if you're having this transit I believe it would be safe to say there's a little greater propensity for some issues in terms of water retention, whether it's too much or it's too little. Um, an adverse aspect to Jupiter in the process, for example, could be something where it could be very exaggerated one way or the other, whether it could be too much or too little. Hold on a moment, people. Anyway, and also too, well, if it's in Pisces, and talking about the left or the right eye, depending on gender, as far as what the moon is connected with. Say if this is in Pisces, it could be maybe some blurred vision, or Gemini, maybe double. Um, Another thing too, uh, this could also manifest in some cases as the situation with the home, the family, prominent women in your life scheme, the mother in some cases, maybe more contentious and acrimonious, more so than usual. Now, let's say, for example, if this falls in Pisces in your sixth house in your natal chart, it may be connected with maybe arguments over lethargy or apathy or laziness, which could be Pisces in the daily routine. And the daily routine, of course, can be the sixth house. Remember, it's also the house of work and employment, so you understand where I'm going with that. So, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.